The dirtiest adventure touring bikes available from Suzuki are the V-Strom 800DE and V-Strom 800DE Adventure, which will go on sale in 2024. These almost similar Suzuki ADV bikes join a competitive middleweight adventures class that includes a wide spectrum of competitors, from more adaptable Kawasaki, Honda, and Yamaha motorbikes to high-performance off-road machines from brands like KTM and Husqvarna. When the V-Strom 800DE was released in 2023, both versions were well received since they had competitive electronics and suspension in addition to an exciting parallel twin engines. Between Suzuki's previous V-twin-powered V-Strom types, the V-Strom 1050 and V-Strom 650, which are both offered in a range of DE or XT or simple, street-oriented variants, sits the V-Strom 800DE. Directed on unpaved paths, with a firing order of 270 degrees, the pair of pistons in this 776cc cable-driven, fuel-injected DOHC twins engines have a diameter and stroke of 84.0 by 70.0 millimeters. This reciprocating action on the crankshaft produces the sound, "What a machine!" 90-degree V-twin. For this reason, the majority of modern parallel twin motorcycles have a 270-degree cranks. Based on our experience with this motorcycle, Suzuki's cross balancer system, which consists of two balance shafts, effectively reduces vibrations caused by the engine arrangement. The system is not only exceptionally smooth, but it also has a distinct sound and feel. Eccentric weights on two shafts are changed to balance the piston's mass. It is reported that the V-Strom 800DE has 83 horsepower at 8,500 revolutions per minute, which is competitive for the mid-range adventure class. It has 11 horsepower more than the Yamaha Tenere 700's stated power, but not quite as much as the KTM 890 Adventures, 105 horsepower, and BMW F800 GS, 90 horsepower. It is stated that the Aprilia Touareg 660 has 80 horsepower. This engine has been positively accepted thus far and has been seen in the GSX-8S and V-Strom 800. It is also offered on the fully fairing ED 2024 GSX-8R sport bike. This engine should provide better power in Suzuki vehicles. There is a multi-plate clutch with slipper assist function on the 6-speed gearbox. The purpose of the bike's slippage during deceleration, particularly during downshifts, is to steady and smooth the ride as you slow down. Engine torque acts as a helper during acceleration, pressing the clutch plate as you transfer power. Because of this, a lighter clutch spring may be used, resulting in a lighter lever pull without slipping the clutch. A lot of bikes have this mechanism. The programming on this system is rather solid, and if you use the clutch to stop in first gear, they can complete every shift without touching the clutch until you stop again. Furthermore, an electronic quickshifter permits clutchless upshifts and downshifts. Although many modern bikes have this feature as well, Suzuki did a very good job of implementing it on the V-Strom 800DE. The driver assistance electronics package of the 2024 Suzuki V-Strom 800DE and Adventures versions is competitive in its class. A 5-inch color TFT screen with an integrated USB connector and a configurable gear shift indication serves as the primary interface and instruments panels. Suzuki refers to its driver assistance system as the Suzuki Intelligent Ride System. The ride-by-wire response is modified by 3 driving modes, which shift the engine's torque delivery from forceful to mild. There are 4 different traction control settings available, and for dirt roads, there is an additional mode called gravel that enables controlled turning in low traction situations. Rear wheel ABS is deactivable, and the system responds differently in 2 modes. Low RPM assist on the Suzuki helps keep it from stalling. Every light source is LED. There is no cruise control available. At 5,000 revolutions per minute, the charging system's output of 375 watts is quite low. When installing electrical equipment, such as more lights, heated grips, seats, or gear, GPS systems, or pretty much anything that consumes electricity. Keep this in mind. The wattage of any accessories you may be using should be added to the bike's regular electrical power. In general, you should strive to keep this power below the maximum output of the alternator to avoid depleting the battery more quickly than the charging mechanism can replenish it. Unlike the aluminum frames of the V-Strom 1050 and 650, the primary frame of the 2024 Suzuki V-Strom 800DE and 800DE Adventures is made of steel. Steel is returning, despite the fact that aluminum has become the frame material of choice for many bikes during the last few decades. Preferred, particularly on adventure bikes, for their affordability, robustness, and field repairability. The chassis inclination, steering head angle, of the V-Strom 800DE is 28 degrees, along with its trail is 4.5 inches. These numbers align with the adventure-oriented motorcycle's requirement for both stability and agility. In addition to adding stability, the wheelbase's 61.8-inch length allows for greater room for a passenger without requiring them to sit too far back from the rear axle. The Showa fork and shock, on the other hand, are the main attractions here. Both have completely adjustable spring preload, compression, and rebounding dampening. Suzuki's Adventures bikes have the highest ground clearance in the industry with 8.7 inches of travel, and testing reveals that the factory spring rates and dampening work incredibly well both on and off-road. The Nissan's brake specifications may be modest, but the two-piston front and single-pod rear calipers, which are axially mounted, provide excellent stopping power. The rider receives good feedback from the levers, enabling them to gauge exactly where the rubber meets the road or ground. The diameter of the front disc is 310 mm, whereas the rear disc is 260 mm. Two ABS settings and other cyclist aids may be selected, as previously mentioned in the electronics sections. Rear anti-lock can also be switched off, since it can occasionally be useful to be able to purposefully lock the rear wheels in an off-road situation.